Okay. Reese, we're good. Terrific. I'd like to call to order Select Board meeting for the town of Hanover, March 30th, 2026. Tonight's meeting will consist of a public hearing with respect to the budget, a project which we have been working on since the first week of January, and really Ellen's been working on far before that.
And the department heads.
Yes, the department heads. So that will be the main topic tonight. But first, are there any agenda items which select board members wish to reorder? Probably not. No. Okay. Public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the select board at this point for topics not already on the agenda? Seeing none, let's move on to a public hearing. We are now convening a public hearing in accord with RSA 41.3 2BA 33.8A to consider a proposed issue in the amount of $2.4 million for the purpose of funding the purchase of a fire engine tower truck. And we will also have a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget and warrant articles, but we are now in the public hearing. Should we start on fire truck?
Thanks. The order I put it in.
Yes.
Functionally, the statute, well, first, thank you. Thanks to the team and the select board for being patient in this process. As we tried to forecast early, late fall, early winter, our tower truck is due for replacement in 2030. It's a 3-year build. In order to order it, we need authorization to bond for the full amount. So that requires us to put this before the voters in 2027 to have the truck delivered in a 2030 fiscal year. With that in mind, the fire department has gone out to bid and received one quote today. Lucky they expect to have a second quote. The postage shown in this reflects the quote received. I should point out that there are only 3 others. So it's a limited pool to receive bids from, and we're working through to make sure that we present to the town for a project that meets the need of the town but doesn't necessarily cost money. With that in mind, statutorily, this board is obligated to hold a public hearing on all bond items and vote whether to affirm, approve, or recommend approval or against this, and that vote will be tallied and shown on the warrant and recorded here.
Those three vendors, is that just 3 in this
In the country?
country?
Yes. There were 5, 2 got bought out, consolidated. You see how you can squeeze them up. We've seen a fairly protracted turnaround time. Everybody is seeing a protracted turnaround time. And the truck is not a big order in the scheme of things, even though it's a price order. So, looking hard to get a second bid, and this is where we stand. Happy to answer any questions as to the bond information. I should let you know that the order of how it falls on the warrant is prescribed by statute. It has to come before and after the election of office. Laura has reviewed this and has given it legal blessing, if you will.
Especially because I love all things fire truck related. Can you comment a little bit about, and it's germane actually, can you talk about the need for and the life of a tower truck?
Sure. NFPA prescribes certain standards, and that National Fire Protection Association, which is adopted at the state level. prescribe certain standards, and our the OSHA 9000 also prescribes certain standards. The fact that we have dorms and buildings of a certain height trigger the need for a tower truck. They also are referred to in the industry as ladder trucks. There is a difference. A tower truck doesn't need a person in the bucket to operate the water cannon. It can be operated remotely. And the tower truck has a bucket so that it can rescue from a high elevation, safer than a traditional ladder truck because it would just be a ladder. So a useful life of a ladder truck is 25 years. In 2030, we will be at the useful life. What starts to happen is that the parts that fail take it out of commission. I think you may recall that the ladder truck came offline, or the tower truck came offline for a failed hydraulic about a year and a half ago. It was offline for 6 months. It has to be shipped away. And then it goes through some certifications. I can say that in the last 3 years, we've had 2 tower truck related fires in high multi-story buildings that we needed to respond to with that vehicle specifically. In addition, we've responded to mutual aid with it, particularly the last fire in Hartford. So it's a valuable piece of equipment that's dictated by the nature of our community. It's appropriate to keep in operating order.
And do adjoining communities have tower trucks?
Lebanon and Hartford have tower trucks
Okay.
also. And there would be a great conversation about how we could address regionalization of some of these huge expenses. But right now, that's not enabled in the state of New Hampshire.
Not enabled.
Not
No.
enabled.
What do you mean by that?
So custom, I'll use the county form of government elsewhere as an example where police, fire, libraries are at the county seat so that there's a distribution amongst the communities to share the resources. Here we are municipal-based funding and operation services, or we don't have them at all. We rely on mutual aid.
I mean, there's no mechanism for funding from other
There's no mechanism to regionalize
funding.
fire
Yep.
and the equipment that sits with it.
How are we able to do that for dispatch then?
That's a special service. That's a great question. That's a special service that is specifically, I think, called out, but I can answer that offline.
Yeah, I'm not trying to challenge you.
No, so dispatch, because it's a difficult thing for each municipality to do, they either rely on the county or a larger municipality with those services. And so Hartford dispatches for 23 agencies, we dispatch for 52 agencies. I think 26 towns. Lebanon had dispatches for itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'll find out, I'll get you clarity on that.
Just curious. Okay, other questions about the proposed bonding for the tower truck? Yes. Okay.
We should say that this is something we've been talking about for 20 years now. So it's not like this is a surprise here.
Yes.
2.4 million is, we've known about this forever.
Yes.
Although I remember when it was only 1 million. Actually, I remember when it was 750,000. Which was a little wild.
You might have been on that purchase of this one, right? If we're at the 20-year mark.
No, I'm not quite. 2007 or 6. Can't remember.
Okay.
Gonna look that up.
Thank you, sir.
I move to approve, or no, actually, I move that the select board approve and move to the warrant, the bond article as presented.
I'll second that. Do you need us to read the proposed warrant or we're good to go?
I don't think you need to read it.
Okay.
Post it.
Any
On the
further,
screen.
any further comments or questions?
I know we don't have much say over what trucks we get. Even though there aren't that many people who make them. But I guess some manufacturers are making sort of like lower cabs, so they have better visibility. And they're making like tighter turning radii. And it's like a big deal in like San Francisco and New York that they're finding these. But it seems like only one company is really making them. It may or may not be the one that responded to you.
Okay.
That would be a good, actually, I think that's a really good point that you're making, Jenny, because if you think about what the direction that the college is going in and even the town in terms of its planning and trying to reduce, vehicles going.
It's just that turning radius matters, but also what they found in San Francisco is when they have a lot of congestion, say like when we have graduation, commencement, or other big festivities or a lot of activity, that the trucks are able to navigate better as well. So it's sort of multifaceted. But I think, and they're literally talking about like trucks that are like 2 inches less wide, but somehow the turning radius is a lot better. I'm not a fire truck engineer, but I know it's like,
It's interesting.
I know it's
Yeah.
important in San Francisco and they're trying to do the same thing in New York.
I don't want to labor the conversation with a vote, but in the back of my head, I have this sneaking suspicion that our current tower truck actually the rear follows, so it shortens the turning radius.
Mhm.
But I'll find that out.
Cool.
Some people are calling them like Vision Zero truck.
I know. Good stuff. All right, thank you. Is there anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, let us turn to the fiscal year 2027 budget. And there are a series of schedules. Alan, thank you so much. Would you like to walk us through this? And Rob, do you have any preliminary comments?
First, I'd like to sincerely thank the department heads and Ellen for doing heavy lift here. This has taken time. The opportunity to have the time in between the meetings to look at this and really parse this out has been very helpful. And with that in mind, I'd ask Ellen give a brief overview of where we are today and step through the process for tonight.
Thank you for the very clear schedules and layout. It's very helpful.
So the budgets that we're presenting tonight are based on the direction that we received at the March 16th meeting. And across all the funds, total appropriations of $40,803,840 represented a 2.9% increase over the 2026 budget. With the general fund appropriations increasing by 3.8%. Now on that general fund, that results in a projected tax rate increase that we looked at our last meeting of 3.1% or 10 cents per thousand. And that roughly equates to $100 a year on $1 million property. And again, really focusing and that this is the municipal tax rate in isolation. So this the graphic that we have up here shows all of the sort of consolidation of all of the funds across the town. But focusing on the general fund, I did want to call out that the numbers that we are presenting tonight certainly do represent the option 5 scenario that we looked at. And as a reminder, that scenario included the use of fund balance for various one-time expenditures, a $300,000 buy down to the tax rate, and $1 million deposit to the road right-of-way CRF, and $250,000 to the capital facility CRF. And overall, the numbers that we're looking at tonight, the tax burden remained the same at $13,420,899. But we did have some changes to the total numbers, and I did just want to briefly address that. So in any budget process, as we come down to the end, we take, that final opportunity to double check numbers, to tick and tie. And through that process, I did identify some numbers that either needed to be updated or had the opportunity to be updated. So overall, in the general fund, the appropriations changed by a total of $8,785. So a minor change. The non-property tax revenue also changed by that amount, therefore holding the property tax burden flat and resulting in that 3.1% increase. Some of the changes that we did make were updating the capital facilities and highway equipment CRF withdrawals, and that was to match the final CIP model. So that was an important update to make. And that did net have a change in our overall withdrawal from CRF revenue. In addition, we did make a couple of increases to some of the fees. The motor vehicle registration fees were increased a small amount, and that's to bring it in line with what we're seeing. We're actually on track potentially in 2026 to come in at 1.9 million. Our budget is currently 1.8. So, again, sort of looking for opportunities to not overtax, and where we are comfortable with the revenues. In addition, I did need to make an update to the appropriation from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund. Again, that to bring it in line with the CIP and the CIPC report. And an additional change was to increase the conservation fund budget as directed at last meeting. So those are the sort of the overall gives you a sense of the kinds of changes that were made. And again, net overall to a very small change.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that we have with us here tonight members of the Hanover Finance Committee, Greg Snyder, Chair, Don Dolan, Peter Solberg. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight. For us, this is kind of the 11th hour, the culmination of work we started in January as a body. But this is prior to our voting, which could be tonight. This is kind of your opportunity to ask questions. And I know you have, Ellen, probably some more schedules you want to go through, I think. I'm not sure, but we went through them all last time too. So
we did, and I just wanted to point out that all of the rest of the funds are presented as we saw on the 16th. We did, based on your direction in the parking fund, did build into the budget the addition of the IPS software. But those numbers didn't change from that scenario on the 16th. So I thought I would, we did provide the build-up, the detail for each of the budgets, the consolidated look for the general fund by department, So I'm happy to look at any of the schedules that were provided or answer any questions.
Select board members have a wish to review any particular item?
I just had questions from Sustainable House, Hanover, the sustainability coordinator that's in planning and zoning
Yes,
along with, okay,
it is, yes.
that's what I thought. And then looking at the detail in the parking bond, I noticed Advanced Transit doesn't have any type of inflation factor with it. But it seems like they,
Advanced Transit submits a budget request in the fall, and their budget request was a zero increase ask.
this is before we change the world oil.
Yes. And they built their budget around this ask. And some of you may know I serve on the board of directors there.
Yeah,
And I am timing off after 9 years, so I'm only allowed to stay on for 9 years. But this budget, their fiscal year budget is built with this in mind.
What do they do when gas prices go up?
They actually locked their diesel rate in already, so they're good to go.
Okay,
And unless there's an upset clause that I'm not aware of, and some of these long-term contracts do have them. So, Advanced Transit is in transition. They have a new ED that started 60 days ago, I believe. She's now no longer co-parenting with Adams Carroll, if you will. So obviously there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. And I think they're in a good place currently.
The other question I had, can you explain why, when we look at the undesignated fund balance, we compare the 2026, so as of June 30th, 2026, or what we expect, to FY 25's
So that's
or actual spending?
correct. So I believe that the reasoning behind that is it's taking a look at the most recent completed fiscal year. So it's a data point that reflects true spending for that period of time, since the undesignated fund balance is sort of a reserve for unexpected events, and you want it to be a percentage of a well-established number. It is actually laid out in the select board guidelines, and that's where that calculation comes from. It's a different calculation from the DRA that they do. But that's the sort of the theory behind it, that it's based on the most recent completed fiscal year.
It would actually be less, right? Because if expenditures go up, we're a year off, so that what we see here as that 3.6.
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit below that, because if we considered what the expenditures were for FY 2026 would be greater than.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And that may play into the fact that there's the range of 10 to 15%.
Mhm. Thank you.
Brett, did you want to make a comment? Board ask questions.
Thanks very much. Greg Snyder, Chair of the Hanover Finance Committee. I thought it would be good to simply say to the select board where we are as a committee and make any initial comments before my colleagues here may have further questions, or I might too as you go through any other schedules. But just to let you know, we have not fully formulated a position at this time. We're here because we were wanting to be a part of the public hearing to hear the presentation on the budget. However, we have been fully apprised of the budget process all the way along, which we very much appreciate and provide compliments for this process. Because, Carrie, you mentioned that Ellen had been involved with the process way before, I think you said it sometime earlier this winter. Well, the information that, Ellen, that you provided in your memo in October of last year is that kicked off the committee being able to be informed about what you were going to be looking at and what sort of issues and concerns that you might have had. So very much appreciate the openness, the participation, as Ellen has attended every meeting of ours, I think. Maybe we missed one, but basically she attends all of our meetings. And that's actually important to know that, of course, our responsibility as a committee has to do with providing financial advice for the schools. And so some of the meetings that we had earlier this year were really completely school focused, but Ellen was still there because our committee is looking at everything, both the town as well as the schools, and considering whatever the county has in mind that would have a financial impact on the town. So that is just excellent. The other thing is that we have had issues of governance and some issues, especially with audits in the past. And that was something that we took a very keen eye to in the past and made critical comments about that. But we don't have those critical comments anymore. And congratulations for the audit reports that have been given out since that time. So that's also important to know. When we're looking within our position statement on short-term subjects as well as long-term. So the short-term, we're looking at the costs and the trends and the tax rate control. And so those are the things that we will be commenting on within our position statement. A couple of years ago, we noted that the trends regarding costs were not sustainable. And so that was addressed within the fiscal year 26 budget, that there was a pause on that negative trend. And we have noted that that has continued with this presentation of this year's fiscal 27 budget. We also previously have focused on the undesignated fund balance and the transparency, and note that has been nicely addressed within the process that we have been following over the course of this year, and also provision for the capital projects. Long term, as I say, we take a holistic view. So whatever the taxpayers are going to have to be paying is not only having to do with the town, but of course the school and the county. So that we will be taking into consideration within our final statement. We understand that there's the need for us to have the position statement done as soon as possible. Obviously, we couldn't take a position until you all have taken your vote. So we have committed to beginning tomorrow to start, assuming that you do have a vote, tomorrow to start the drafting process. And it is our commitment that we would be finishing the position statement by the end of next week. And we have a meeting scheduled for next Thursday to take care of that. So that's where we are now. We thank you very much for all of the work that has been put in thus far. I don't as a on behalf of the committee able to say this is what our position is. But as you'll have noted from what I've said so far, I don't have anything that is a critical problem to bring to your attention. So thank you.
Great. Thanks for the review of the process and the comments. Appreciate it. And thanks for all that you and your committee do.
Thank you.
So maybe just quickly a review of fire, the other property tax space, maybe just a quick review.
Sure. So for our fire fund, the overall increase year over year of appropriations are 2.8%. And some of the major changes in the fire fund do include the addition of new software and strategic plan. And again, those will be coming, they were earmarked as a budgetary use of fund balance. The largest portion of the fire fund budget is, of course, the compensation, and we're seeing a 4.2% increase there. We also see in the fire fund budget this year the phasing in of the full debt burden of the fire engine. So in the 2026 budget, we just had interest expense. And for the 27 budget, we have both principal and interest. And so the combination of those two is about $100,000. So looking at the impact on the tax rates, the increase in Fire District 1 is 4 cents per thousand. In Fire District 2, it's 6 cents per thousand. And in Fire District 3, it's 4 cents per thousand. And the reason why those vary is because we do a couple of variables. First of all, the cost of the hydrants is absorbed in Fire District 1, but at the same time, of the $30 million of projected net assessed value, the great majority, or 90%, at least in this modeling, has been assigned to Fire District 1 because we are experiencing the development, quite concentrated in that district. We did allocate $3 million of that increase to Fire District 2 and none to Fire District 3, which could be conservative, but I think that it made sense for this modeling.
And we sometimes talk about a blended tax rate increase between the general fund and the fire districts. But I guess we can do the math, just
If you
Adding it up.
or maybe we got it.
hold that
Didn't you
thought,
do that on, Alan, didn't you do that on the first page?
Did you?
well, thank you very much for pointing that out.
Just
Sure.
understanding total appropriations on the third from the top.
Yes, but I have to say that I am embarrassed to say that those numbers are not updated. Because what we're looking at there is the 20, well, maybe I just didn't update the labels. Let me take a quick look at that. So let me just think about that. So at $1.13, the 2020, the 443 would be that. Actually, nope, these numbers are not correct. So, but I do have them calculated on another sheet, but that's a fair question. Bear with me 1 minute.
The blended. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I can tell you the blended rate is, you know, for Fire District 1 is going to be 453. And Fire District 2 will be, because the municipal rate is 340. So then 446 for Fire District 2 and 392 for Fire District 3. I just need to quickly calculate the year-over-year changes in total. And I think generally when we take a look at that, the blended rate, we do focus on Fire District 1. So,
Since it impacts most
correct.
folks. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. See. Well, while you're looking, just, quickly, I think the Finance Committee is well aware of this. For the past few years, we have had a relatively large undesignated fund balance, part being driven by our ability to hire as many people as we would have liked. And we've had great success on that now, and our vacancy rate's much lower. But some of those surpluses have enabled us to put money toward capital projects. And as the CIPC pointed out with their graphic on their report, the impending wave of capital spending. So that's given us the ability this year to put away, as Ellen mentioned, $1 million toward the road right-of-way CRF, and then $250,000 into the capital facilities reserve fund. So that's been, something we were able to do last year and this year, in addition to buying down the tax rate somewhat. So, while Ellen is looking for the blended rate, any other questions from Finance Committee members? Okay. All right, thank you. Other questions from Select Board members?
Doing math on the fly.
I know.
One of my favorite things to do.
More than this.
That for a raise data at a time. So
So for the, interesting. And it's not totally surprising. For Fire District 1, it also is a overall 3.1.
oh, really? Okay,
Percent tax rate
Okay.
increase.
interesting. All right.
And all the numbers I said before were not correct. So basically in Fire District 1, we're going from a $4.43 blended rate of municipal and fire to a $4.57. So overall, it is a 14-cent increase,
Did you
10
say,
cents,
did you say 3.9%?
3.1.
3.1, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so 10% increase coming from the municipal rate and 4 cents coming from the fire. So again,
Do you have the other two districts or not?
I can do them very quickly.
Yeah, we need something for this, that airtime. Maybe.
Well, how about we get rid of the fire districts?
Well, I was thinking about that.
Can we just make a motion?
Unfortunately, they're in the town's charter.
Oh, really?
Are they?
It,
Okay.
it is in the town's charter how we fund the fire department. And we need to figure out how we correct that, among other things.
Maybe we should form a,
Charter committee.
well, because
Well, I
there's
mean,
some
Joanna,
things, I mean, we
what's
talked
the-
about this before.
We've talked about it, but what is the big downside other than it's annoying for Ellen? I'm not,
The downside to the districts.
So I will speak to it, and I won't say that it's a downside if I were the fire chief. But I get to keep the undesignated funds in my account. Fire department has an undesignated fund balance.
right, no, I'm sorry, Rob. District 1, 2, and 3, I mean,
Why do we have them separately?
what's the downside to
Yeah.
having them?
Well, I think it,
So you're saying we should enroll the fire budget into the general budget?
Yeah.
I think we should.
Okay,
And I think we
that's a
should.
different question, but okay.
I think we should, because one could argue that Fire District
Sidewalks.
3 costs more to service because it's farther away.
Has its own firehouse and its own fire truck and
That's
fire
true,
car
that's true.
and.
No, that's 2.
That's 2.
3 is the other side of Moose Mountain.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way. Two is more expensive than, yeah.
Yeah,
So the farther away from you are from the core, the greater response time, the greater demand for services. The more staff resources you use, if I have a fire, I have a tanker truck shuttle
Yep.
going to supply water, or I find a dry hydrant and lay hose and pump it. If it's an ambulance call, medical call, we're relying on mutual aid, but still required to respond, which we should anyway, because it's within Hanover. There's a whole host of costs that I don't think were put in the formula when it was first created.
So I mean, in my opinion, it's similar to, we have to provide this service across the board, whether you have a fire hydrant or you're putting a pumper truck there. And for me, it's part of living in a community. You're paying taxes for that service to protect people's property and lives. I pay or let's rephrase that. I live in a location where there's a sidewalk, but I have friends who live outside of town, but they're paying for the sidewalk, they're paying for the plow. And just like that, we should be paying. You're paying for fire protection. It's part of being a citizen in our community. Having a different rate doesn't make sense to me. And like you said, if you actually did the calculation, it may even be more expensive to provide service to Fire District 3 than Fire District 1. So that's why I think we should.
something we should talk about
That's it.
at the retreat, maybe.
Well, we had some dead air time, so we were just trying to fill it. We're talking about Fire District, so.
This is gonna keep people in.
It will. I can hear they're like, yeah.
I appreciate the cover. So, again, the Fire District 1 blended rate would be a 3.1% increase, and both for Fire District 2 and 3, it's a 3.7% increase.
Thank you, Ellen.
I will update this schedule and repost it.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right.
Should we motion, move to the select board
could.
approve and move to the warrant, the budget articles
we-
as presented?
Are we going over
I guess,
the proposed warrant as well?
Yeah, that's the next item.
That is the next item, and
we do the budget article first.
It seemed it was warrant and budget articles together. Unless we want to just move for the budget.
we could do either. We could move the budget. Yeah, Rob, what are your thoughts on, should we review the warrant article and then we can figure out if we want to move budget and or the warrant articles?
Statutorily, I would ask that you approve the budget separately from the warrant.
Okay.
So that the budget is clearly adopted by the board if that vote is counted, so that we can report it properly to DRA.
Yep.
And then we can dive into the nuances of the warrant.
Are there any other,
Guess does any of them affect the budget? Like, this was like the question that came up last time with the reservoir multi-use path from Lime to Hemlock, to Curtis. About whether there'd be an improved crossings. And it's like singular in there.
2 crossings, one at Curtis, one on Lime Road.
Right, but in the warrant article, it's singular. So does that trickle to the budget or is it fine? I guess that's.
I
the
think
one
we
question.
fixed
They fixed the warrant.
the
Or support
article.
article.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah. Well, yeah.
Because there's some errors in the articles. so we'll
Yeah,
we're
my,
gonna fix it.
yeah, I guess my question was, did it need a fix in the budget? Because I read it in the warrant article.
I believe it doesn't need a
Yeah.
fix. I believe that the funding in the budget supports the two
Crossing.
Yeah,
crossings.
and then I think the other, and maybe this is back. I feel like it showed up for me in the warrant and maybe I just didn't understand it in the budget, but the repaving of Marshall Lot and the sidewalk of Maple Street. We've talked the previous year about being sort of what that general design is. Just because there needs to be some traffic calming or fixing of either I don't know if Maple is also being repaved or, but it seemed like there's an opportunity for a raised crossing right at the garage where Chandra was hit. There's like a dicey, like if it's just Marshall and not Maple being repaved, maybe that raised crossing can get put in. And if Maple's being repaved, then I'm just wondering how school in Maple is being handled. Because we've had problems there. It might just be like the alarm. And like if there's, again, I just don't know if it's, incidental design cost or paving costs or something that can be figured out later.
So we are talking to the descriptors, with including in the withdrawal for the CRFs, and are those descriptors meant to be all encompassing? Or just kind of primary ingredients?
These are the items from a combination of, although they are all included in the CIP model that we use. So the buildup of the withdrawals have identified these projects to be completed either in fiscal year 2027 or within that 5-year non-lapsing period.
So it doesn't include Maple then on this,
It doesn't.
Maple or.
So let me make sure I understand your question, Jenny. Maple was programmed to have the sidewalk from South Main, the gap in the sidewalk on the south side,
South Main to school.
to South Main to Marshall.
Yeah, basically Marshall. Oh, just to Marshall, not the rest of the way?
The sidewalk exists, doesn't it?
No.
On the south side?
It exists for a small section of Marshall, but not from Marshall to School Street.
So.
There's like 10 feet of sidewalk. It's basically landing pads for the parking meter. And there's not a sidewalk. It's mostly from school. It's like in front of Irving, there's not a sidewalk. So there's a little bit more sidewalk by Ledyard. And then there's not a sidewalk from school to Marshall.
So I'll try to answer the question now that I understand it better. Just that.
There's nothing in front of Ledyard, or is there some?
Yeah, it goes.
Then it goes
They
away
get away
again.
with.
It runs from the Circle K parking lot entrance to. So I think I can answer the question that this budget does not include those.
Okay.
The list of your improvements to go from School Street to South Main.
Oh, okay, so where is the sidewalk gap that it's covering?
The sidewalk gap was in last year's proposal, but we pulled it out. I think that was the one we had a problem with in the public hearing process. And we needed to pull it out. Having spoken with our Director of Public Works on this specific issue of the sidewalk gap, Pete was of the opinion that that should be baked into the South Main Street project so that it's integrated into that project as part of the plan.
So the sidewalk gap, where?
From Ledyard Bank to South Main Street. That's the sidewalk gap as I've known it to be. And, I didn't appreciate that comment until just now.
Yeah, there's another gap along the same block, but I see what you're saying. So it's just along the Irving station.
The sidewalk gap that I believe was pulled out last year was from South Main Street to the Ledyard Bank sidewalk. That was the point. That was the area.
I didn't understand that. I thought it was South Main since that was South Main to School Street. So there is a sidewalk gap from South Main to School Street. It's my preference that when we work on a street and we build a sidewalk, we also what ends up happening is sometimes the curb needs to be moved. In this case, building a sidewalk, the curb needs to be moved. And that's when we have to address the drainage, right? It would make sense to have a plan for what the street's gonna look like. Even if we have to build the rest of the sidewalk another time. And in that plan, it would make sense to me to improve that crossing. And if we ever touch School Street, to improve that intersection. And people got injured there. And just Maple Street itself is like an ongoing hazard for families. In that cars will drive around. Families with small children biking. And we see it every year. And it's just because it's wide. That there's not a sidewalk on the one side, it's wide, ambiguous. And then it seems extra dangerous because they're sometimes going fast towards where people are crossing to go to the parking lot or crossing to go to the Nugget. It's like a bad place to be doing a weird maneuver. So, and what? Those are some of the complications I was talking about earlier.
I'm not prepared to try to, without speaking with our public works director.
It just seemed like an opportunity potentially to put in a raised
I'll see if,
crosswalk because we're paving Marshall.
I'll see if we can accommodate that out.
Thank you. Are there any further comments with respect to the budget in general or in detail from the audience?
I just want to make sure that the article 34,506,766. Can you just explain how we get there from the? So that's the.
Get a reconciliation. That's the total expenditures. That's the. Yes, Ellen does have a reconciliation and those are the, so these are the other warrant articles.
Okay.
That have money tied to.
Yeah, so the expenditures are a total of 40.8, and can you show the reconciliation?
I will do that.
And the change, so, and then the changes that we have to make to that top page is just the FY 26 numbers. That
Yes,
was in
yes, the comparative for the tax, right?
comparative tax
Actually,
rate.
it doesn't affect the warrant articles.
Okay. So then the comparative tax rate instead of 2.9% would be 3.1, is that right?
Yes,
Right.
for the, yes, including for Fire District 1 happens to be the same.
Got it.
What Ellen and Rob are going to share is a reconciliation of the warrant article amounts to the schedule that you see for the entire budget across all enterprises. So that's $40.8 million. So how do we go from $40.8 million to a main budget article, $34.5 million? Ellen has done a reconciliation that will show you how those two relate. Great.
Oh, that's true. Just snip it, didn't I? I'll send you.
And what you will see when it comes up, oh, here we go. Okay, great.
So if you go, you click up one. So we're starting with the 40,803,840 that we saw in the overall consolidated with all of the funds. And then to get to the net operating expenses, we're backing out each of the warrant articles that you'll be reviewing. So we have the deposit to the land and capital improvement fund, the conservation fund, municipal transportation fund, and then the transfers to the capital reserve funds and from the capital reserve funds. And those are detailed below. And again, just making sure that they're mapping to each of the warrant articles. And then in addition, the reservoir MUP for 200,000 is a separate warrant article, and then the contingency fund. So that's starting out with your total expenditures. You're taking out the expenditures that are addressed in either special or individual warrant articles, and then the net comes up to the 34,506,766.
And Ellen, just because it confused me, but both the additions to the CRFs and the flow from the CRFs, they all get counted as expenditures.
Correct.
Okay,
It's just that the expenditures from the CRFs are 100% offset with revenue.
got it.
So they are, but they are still appropriations and their expenditures, so you'll find them in each of the department's budgets.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen. Okay, all right. I see the finance committee very, very busy over there. Any questions prompted by this discussion?
We have determined the venue and time for our drafting.
Excellent, okay, fantastic, good, all right. So I think we had a motion before, but the interest of making sure, if we could remove and second. I don't think we seconded.
I'll second it. I thought it was second, but I'll second it.
Did we move it?
I moved, yeah.
You moved the budget.
I moved the bonds
Oh, that's right.
article.
Oh,
Let's move the budget. Let's move.
Someone move the budget.
Yes. Joanna,
I move the select board approve the budget as presented for FY 27.
Second.
okay, any further comments, questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. All right,
It's awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
And now we need one to move.
The warrant articles, but there's a question. You don't actually have to move the warrant articles tonight. This week's meeting.
Yeah. Another meeting next week.
We do. So, all right. Warrant articles, should we move on to those, Rob?
Absolutely.
Yep, okay, thanks.
So let me share the screen.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks,
you.
Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to skip down to the unnumbered warrant articles. There's some work to be done on the importing of the information from planning. There's 5 zoning amendments, as I understand it, that are coming forward. And then Article 5 will be renumbered appropriately and will be updated to reflect the actual voting of officers in Article 1 will be updated properly to reflect the number of select board members specifically. We do have confirmation that the 3 fence viewers and 2 surveyors of wood and timber are willing to run again. And so that's solid.
Okay, that's a relief. So that brings us down to the fire tower bond item. And the warrant article, as I mentioned, has been reviewed by council. Placement would be as shown on this after the election of officers. So whatever appropriate number gets attached to this, it'll be literally the second item taken at the business meeting. And I would ask the board, as we step through this, to adopt all of them. The next article is the appropriation to the Land and Conservation Capital Improvements Fund withdrawal. And that withdrawal then gets deposited in the Conservation Fund. Ellen, correct me if I step wrong. So $400 being, what you have is the current use tax penalty from 2025 being split in half and appropriated half to the Conservation Commission. Last year, it was a total of $800 that was brought in, and $400 is due to the Conservation Commission. We are on task this year for significantly larger contributions.
This is usually like 25 to 50,000.
It's around 20.
20 usually, right?
It is, and this was, so when I first pulled these numbers, I double and triple checked, but yes, it's very significant this year. So I think it was just the timing.
Yeah. The next article is the 35,095. For those, as a reminder, this comes off the $5 per vehicle registration fee generated in fiscal year 25. It gets deposited into a special fund that's used for, I'll refer to it as multimodal non-vehicular improvements, bicycles, sidewalks, that type of thing. And it will be used to fund, this account is being used to fund the Reservoir Road model. This is the annual contribution based on
A $5 per registration fee, right?
Yep.
And that's the most you can.
Yeah,
We tried to
they stopped
increase
the
it, but-
sidewalk fund and we picked this up, so $35,000 a year we spend on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you actually, the town did try to have the legislation changed to allow us to increase the fee to $10.
Our legislature wouldn't do it.
Concord said that this would be then a tax and said no.
Good job.
It is a tax. We should tax people.
It was a way to say municipalities don't have, we're not going to give you that authority. To find alternative funds. The next article is the appropriations into the capital reserve accounts based on the projects, based on the forecasted need. The next article represents the allocation withdrawal for project expenses for fiscal year 27 and reserved for a non-lapsing period of 5 years. So this will include the Howe Library work, highway equipment, the martial law paving, police cruiser. And the next one is a standalone warrant article for Reservoir Road MUP. The total cost is $200,000. We're raising and appropriating $200,000 and authorizing a withdrawal of $114,200 from the. Do I have the wrong?
No, it's the correct one,
Okay.
municipal transportation. Improvement Fund.
Yeah, the Municipal Transportation Improvement Fund, complete this project. Withdraw, yeah. And the next fund, the appropriation is $50,000 into contingency. I was asking originally for $100,000. We wrote after last meeting, we took $50,000 and assigned it to planning in the town manager's office, in the town manager's fund, and retained $50,000 in the contingency fund. And the final financial warrant article is the total budget to appropriate the $34,506,766.
Okay. And those are all of the budget related warrant articles. Then there's a few non-budget.
And I'm happy to tick through those also.
Sure, let's keep going. Yeah.
Why, you dropped select board 4 against abstain passed.
And I will put it back in. Council has advised us that it's only required on certain articles.
Okay,
But it's been our practice to show it on all financial. And
it has been, except for the petition articles.
she said, I took it out, but you can put it back in. So we plan to put it back in.
And I'm thinking, Arthur, to that point, we are intending to meet next week. And we could hold off on the voting on the warrant articles
Sure.
till next week.
I'm gonna be here, but that's,
It's better if it's 5, if you vote and it's 5, because if you're not here, it's 4 and 1 abstention, which is, I mean, it's fine. I wasn't here last year
Yeah.
and it was 1 abstention, but it's nice when all of us are voting on it. So
yeah, the abstention does look.
it's kind of weird.
All right.
So
Well, so maybe we vote tonight.
It's up to you. I really am not. I would.
yeah, you can't be here Monday. That's fine.
That's fine. So, okay, all right. Let's keep going on the,
Well, if you'd like, you can vote on the budget warrant articles and then we can deal with.
Can we
go
add
on. Yeah, let's do that.
To the
Let's do that.
crosswalks in the Lime Road to Curtis?
So we're gonna go back to what will likely be Article 6, which is the fire truck. So why don't we take them one by one? And we will need motions.
I don't think we have to do a motion. I remember this like years ago.
We don't need a motion, we just vote.
I think we just vote.
I don't know.
I think you're fine by just voting. The minutes reflect the actions of the board on the warrant articles as presented. With one minor change.
Meaning, if someone doesn't second it,
It wouldn't go forward.
Does it hurt?
I would, for the record, I would suggest you make a motion.
fine. I'd like to make a motion that we move this unnumbered article
You can move them all.
about the fire truck.
Move them all and then we'll go one by one, yay or nay, or can we just do
You can
them
move
all?
them all.
I move all the budget ones.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor of, well, we're gonna go through them one by
We
one.
gotta go through them one by
All
one.
right,
The
okay.
fire truck one, they're unnumbered.
With respect to the fire truck, okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Okay.
$400 to deposit in the
That's a
lending
real shock.
account.
I mean, we're used to tens of
Yeah,
thousands of dollars.
All right. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye. Spend the 400. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye. It's unanimous. 35,000 into the municipal transportation improvement fund. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
It's unanimous. CRF funding, $3.9 million. All those in favor?
aye.
It's unanimous.
Do I have if this is in the parking lot, can it be used on the road? Do we have to write things differently?
I believe the parking lot is being funded by
Parking operations, not the highway
Operation.
budget, right?
yes.
Oh, not the building one? Is it
It's in the, coming from the parking fund.
in a crosswalk to the parking lot? So, please.
Right, we good? $2.1 million out of the CRFs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that is unanimous. $200,000 for the Reservoir Road MUP. All those in favor? Aye.
With adding clarity on
Yes.
two crossings.
2 crossings, yes.
As long as at least multiple.
Yeah, I think with
I
all of
could argue
this,
for 3.
with all of this, Rob, I think it is in the case previously that technical corrections to the language are allowed. So, okay. $50,000 to the contingency funds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. At the main budget article, $34,506,766. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. All right. We are on to the non-monetary items.
May I interject just really quickly to put everyone's mind at ease?
Yes.
Year to date, the land use change tax in 2026 is almost $53,000. So
Oh, okay.
So people just,
So instead of it being like, whatever, 30,000 last year.
Maybe
So,
close to 30.
I wonder,
I still
that's
wanna do those
interesting, I
too.
wonder why. So there are no transactions in 2025 to speak of, and they happened between January 1 and now. It's interesting. People maybe were holding it onto their property and now they're subdividing, or, I mean,
Well, this would be from
Interesting.
July 1, 20.
oh, July 1,
This is,
okay,
this is
Yeah.
fiscal year as opposed to
Yeah,
tax year.
okay.
So,
interesting.
not to interrupt, but to.
Okay. So that means the previous year, there was nothing.
Well, yeah, correct.
Assessment.
I don't know. It's just really interesting.
The next warrant article is authorizing the select board to consider the establishment of social districts in the town. I do want to point out that this is a ballot vote is required. So we moved it up to a point on so that we can get the voting done while the rest of the meeting continues. It's a secret ballot.
So we'll do this early in the meeting.
We can only do it this early. This is the earliest we can do it.
Wow, okay, all right.
all the budget items have to happen before.
I see.
Now, this allows the select board, if adopted, to start a process that would create an ordinance to permit a social district or social districts in the town. A social district would enable the consumption of alcohol outdoors on sidewalk areas sold by participating venues associated either with specific events or in a broader open market situation. There are restrictions built into the law, but as we discussed last meeting, Laconia and Concord are moving forward with social districts ordinances. And this would start, without this enabling legislation, we couldn't start a process to develop an ordinance to consider social districts. And one could envision a street festival with Ledyard Park being the anchor and venues participating, closing South Main Street perhaps, and the opportunity to have alcohol soon as part of that would be permissible with the social district.
I know there was a survey out there.
There was a survey, 12 responses, nothing strongly negative. 58% were strongly in favor, 5 out of 5. 2, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 0, 1 stars.
Who was this survey of? This was not the
Business.
Ladies Temperance League.
No.
No, okay.
It was sent out to the downtown Hanover working group,
Yep.
which includes now I think it's 60 or so email addresses. Again, 12 responses.
Yeah.
And then there was a whole list of questions in terms of pros and cons and concerns, which I won't go into the detail here, but generally there was no major objection. No. I think we discussed this last week. I can't remember if I added you to this, Rob, but I will make sure. Yeah, you are on there as an editor and you can see the responses. Anybody else wants?
So this is
Enabling, right?
enabling, and there will be a process. So can you just give us a sense of, without knowing with certainty, but a few of the elements of what the process might be?
So the development of the ordinance would include the creation of a map of the district or districts. So I don't envision multiple districts, but you have the conversation as we start to go forward. I would envision the select board convening a group to work on development of the ordinance with some specificity as to how it's going to be structured, the frequency of events, if there are going to be limits, and create some checks and balances to make sure that our police department and emergency services are on board, and that it doesn't impose undue costs to the town on public works, if we're closing streets, those types of things. So we think through all of the issues. I envision the opportunity to do something on an annual basis tied to start of summer, end of summer, like your park being the anchor, really for the community as a whole, and then discuss other opportunities to engage in other activities, celebrate the season, maybe something where we do what do they serve in Germany?
Glühwein.
Oktoberfest.
Pretzels, bratwurst.
Yeah.
Glühwein.
Hot mulled wine, yeah. And then that task force or group would present a draft ordinance to this body for consideration. And if the board, after a public hearing, finds it is appropriate to move forward, you would be asked to adopt it. Right?
Yeah.
I will say that Laconia is probably 6 months in. Concord is about 4 months in. So it's a process to get from enabling to adopting.
Thank you for the review.
So similarly, we did the parklet ordinance. That was more staff did it and we just pretty much signed off on it because it was COVID. We've discussed over time that the rates that we're charging are like ridiculously low. We would make more money if we charged for a parking space that they take up. And so I just want to make sure that we don't add another ordinance and don't address our existing ordinances. That's kind of a sideways, hey, you gotta do something about that.
I'm still on the record as liking busking.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And busking is legal.
Yeah,
For some people don't
the
like.
form of speech.
Ouch, okay. All right,
okay.
the anti-buskers, all right.
That would be anti-busker,
Yes, okay. Get
to be
together with
clear.
ladies,
Shame that.
ladies temperance league.
Yeah. Well, there has to be one in every crowd, at least one.
Not to be confused with anti-busky.
Right.
Very good, love the buskies.
Yes.
All right.
Do we, are we voting on these two? Or just budget?
You can vote on these as we march through.
Okay.
We're not through yet. All right, we have two more. items.
Oh, okay, sorry. Great.
We have two more. One is the cell tower lease proposal. We're attempting to address 5G coverage in downtown and the areas beyond. The location our consultant has identified for a potential tower site is 221 Lebanon Street, which is town-owned land. That was our old ash landfill. The adjacent, it would be accessed off of
Can you call that up? I
Medical center.
Medical Center Drive.
If you go just beyond Guile or go out Guile.
Go out, Kyle.
I have my
and take-
maps open and I'm still confused.
I'll show it to you.
Thank you.
So I recall there being a zoning issue with this.
There is
Okay, do we violate anything by,
issuing a license, a lease agreement. No, we just enable them to proceed with applications.
so then they would have to get,
They would have to step through all the hoops and they're fully aware. So I had to clarify, cell towers are not permitted in the town of Hanover except for in the I zone and the forestry zone. So the exclusion is everywhere where those zones don't exist, which is the residential districts, the rural residential districts, the business district, the downtown district, the OR districts, limited, the industrial or manufacturing
Then Maine, West Wheelock.
and Maine and West Wheelock are all prohibited from having communication towers. And we believe that given that constraint and given the change in technology that shrunk the radius around the tower, so 5G technology limits it to 2.5 miles from tower communicate. The nearest tower is 4 miles away from the smokestack at the hospital. So that's why we have the gap. And the tower at 221 will give us full coverage with a slight shadow created by the stadium at the college. So those who, Harry's house would be in the shadow. I don't know that to be true, but
That's all right.
there's a way around it. So I was doing something outside.
I do that already.
Oh,
sure. I'm on top of the hill there across the street, College Park.
So I'm going to get the map up for you. Give me a second.
Tower height is TBD or
they're proposing a 160-foot tower, and I will say that that tower height give us the maximum coverage. The 140-foot would be fine for 5G Verizon, but it doesn't create the space for the two other carriers, AT&T and T-Mobile. And it would possibly impact. So one of the things that we've been discussing is reserving the top of the tower for the town's emergency service communications, which is part of this lease agreement. It would allow us then to move this tower, take this tower off of Town Hall, and provide better coverage. So 160 feet is the ideal height. And I'm trying to do two things. Is to find the site. Okay. Let's share screen. So this is the Jolly Mart on the corner of Medical Center Drive. This is the entrance to Guile Hill. And this is the Dartmouth 99-year lease recycling combo site on town land. The parcel in question is this piece here. I'm not going to comment on its shape.
It's bizarre. I've never seen anything like it.
So this tower site is accessed off of Trailhead Lane. So right on, let's see. The Trailhead Lane will take you straight up past the transformers, the large transformer site off of Medical Center Drive, and into what you may recall as the old asphalt recycling site.
The 25-year-old site?
And this would be the site that the tower would be located up in this area. I can turn on contours so you can see how the height of the hill.
So that's at an elevation above the site that Dartmouth is leasing.
Yes, so let me.
It's like you're trying to gerrymander.
Lots of votes in that district right there.
That weird indentation is the least part, right?
This area is the least part.
So that's just our weird tax parcel guys.
No, I think Athos is talking about this,
Yeah.
the frontage shape. This indentation is actually the frontage on this lot
I see.
is there.
Wow.
Okay.
All I can say is it was before my time in the planning department.
All right, thank you.
This is no fire.
Okay, well, that was exciting. Should we move
That
on?
was, yes, let's move on. Let's move on to C Pacer.
The C-Pacer,
Yes.
let me stop share, bring up the other. So C-Pacer is a program that enables commercial property owners to seek loans through the state designated entity that would be liened against the property. The town needs to authorize the C-Pacer program because we would be the liening entity. Our only obligation would be to lien and tax deed the property. There's no other obligation to the town. What this does is allow commercial property owners to seek access to lower interest loans to do to do energy efficiency. The town of Hanover was the first community in the state to adopt CPACER version 1 in 2016. It was a complicated process that never got off the ground. The statute has been amended and we need to re-enable the adoption. That concludes all the warrant.
Yes. You for CPACER or you for all these articles?
All of them.
Okay, so the remaining warrant articles, including, I guess, the last one, which is pro forma transacting business, right?
We won't put a 5 in favor, 0 on that one.
Right.
Transact other business, we don't have to
We don't have to
support that.
support that. All right, so, okay, here we go. All right, let's go through them then, one by one. Social district.
No, Jared just said,
Oh, all of them? Okay, fine. Fine, all right.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That is unanimous on all remaining warrant articles. Rob, do you recommend we close the public hearing or keep it open until next week?
I would suggest we.
Bye, John.
Good night, John.
thanks for coming
I
back.
guess we can keep it open if there is a surprise. we can address.
Continue to April 6th.
All right, we continue the public hearing until April 6th. It does not close.
If I could just add to the record that my name is the Polish version and not the Irish version. I need the E, not the U. The end there.
All right.
Here. Look, it's.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Business required action.
Yes.
Didn't we just do action?
No, we did action, but we're gonna do more action.
Action tonight.
The first item is, the only item is to authorize the tax collector to waive $227.81 of accrued property tax interest for Cheng Lin and Zhong Heng because of a miscommunication of payments due.
I move to approve the authorization for the tax collector to waive $227.81 property tax interest as mentioned above.
All
I'll
right.
second that.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that is unanimous. All right. By consent, we have draft minutes from March 16th, and we have donations to the fire department by Mrs. Byrne in the amount of $100 and $100 to the Etna Library, Nancy March and Robin Lavabart, in memory of Ronald Lavabart. Is there a motion?
It's Maureen Byrne.
Maureen. Oh, that's not Mrs. Byrne.
I don't know if it is, but
Okay, Maureen Byrne.
Shows
Yep.
Amos.
Right,
I move to accept. Great.
consent agenda has moved.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
I move to accept the
Second.
consent agenda as moved.
Okay, second. I will second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Select board reports. Here. We had a CIPC meeting on Thursday, which was focused on South Main Street, really. Nice presentation from Rob. Jenny, did you want to piggyback on that?
I think that covers it. We had the planning board advanced 5 zoning amendments, so we'll see those, I guess, next week.
As warrant articles. Yep.
And warrant articles.
Yep.
And then the Sustainable Hanover is just trying to do as many student projects as possible.
Yep.
We got another one accepted, they're excited.
They're looking forward very much. There was a fair discussion about the sustainability coordinator, the importance of that person coming on, and especially energy in particular. And they also spent a fair amount of time talking about Earth Week.
Earth Week and planning like the whole
That's
next year, yeah.
it's a big room. So I think we should, I think it would be good, Rob, before, perhaps by the next meeting to have some kind of formal where we are in terms of the coordinator. Because there was a lot of talk and it would be good to say that. I did say that the select board fully supports it, it just is not going to use a position to fulfill. Pete actually said all of those things. So.
Okay, I can have an update for the select.
Thank you, Joanna. Anything else, Joanna or Jenny? Okay, do we have need for a non-public?
We do not.
Do not. Okay.
Yippee-yahoo.
Then we need a motion to adjourn. Let's just, you're not gonna make, really.
I'll move that we adjourn. And you want to second that?
Sure, I'll second that.
Aye.